Hey everybody, I'm Marty Sleva. I'm joined alongside by Brendan Graber.
What's up?
Mitch Dyer.
Howdy.
Brian Altano.
What's up?
We're here to talk about Sunset Overdrive. This is a video game that I enjoyed and I reviewed, so here's what I thought.
Sunset Overdrive is big, gorgeous, and a hell of a lot of fun. Never has getting from point A to point B in an open world game provided so much enjoyment. Now if you'll excuse me, I have to once again adorn my wolf mask, leap off the highest ledge I can find, and fire an explosive stuffed animal at a group of angry robots.
So let's talk about the style in Sunset Overdrive, which is sort of the first thing, as you see here. The game visually pops more than anything else I've played in quite a while, so I don't know, what did you guys think of it?
Yeah, I mean, the visuals, obviously, it's hugely stand out. It's one of the most vibrant games you've ever seen, which is weird for something that, the tone is, post-apocalypse, there's monsters everywhere, and it's fun.
Yeah.
Like, the tone and the style is very much just self-involved. It is in love with itself, and I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, I was a little turned off by sort of the initial reveal of it. It sort of had that punk rock, stick up your nose at authority, really colorful vibe, and I wasn't sure if, I think that's a thing that you can mess up pretty easily, but Insomniac really nails it. I mean, visually, the game is colorful, the city looks great, oh my god, the character customization options, like when you first get into that store and you're able to create whatever sort of a human being you want is awesome.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. It was sort of, you don't see this a lot in games these days where a group of developers will really just stick with an art style and run with it. Like, I mean, if you look at something like Assassin's Creed, the art style is realism. And Shadow of Mordor is sort of just like brown, grimy, wet guys. But this is like, I think it is because we're just far enough away from the 90s where we can be like, let's make fun of that again without it all being about like, oh, it's the era of attitude and all this stuff like that. In the 90s, we got games like this all the time, but they were talking about the era we were living in, and it was this sort of cartoon version of what we had already, which was a cartoon version of the reality that we needed.
Yeah.
And now we're so far away from it that we can do something like this as a parody and sort of look at it like, oh man, that was a funny era. Let's just go completely over the top with it. It wasn't really about like, oh, we're trying to, avenge the death of my brother. Let's shoot the cops or something like that. It wasn't like this 90s revenge story and about skateboarding with attitude. It was more about just like, let's talk about how goofy and iconic everything looked back
I mean, it's
then.
skate or die. It's
Yeah.
The attitude
Yeah.
is totally
Totally.
skate or die.
Absolutely, and it comes across too. I mean, visually, obviously, character customization, but also just in the writing. Like the game is legitimately funny. Brendan, you're doing the guide, and we've been talking about recently about coming across these missions where this awesome sort of fourth wall breaking happens. And
Yeah,
how it's
they're
done
really
well.
not afraid to go like, you're playing a game. Let's just make fun of all these little like game mechanics.
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
when you see a character and he runs away, and your character's like, wait, he doesn't have a little icon on his head. Do I have to follow him? I don't get it. I'm like,
Yeah.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like the game does not mind breaking the fourth wall. There's a boss fight, your character starts grabbing pieces of the HUD in order to slam against the boss. The respawn animations are amazing. Every time you die, the game doesn't really punish you. It's just sort of like, hey, just keep having fun, and then you respawn in a way that's always this really rad pop culture nod. Like there's one where you're firing the portal guns up. You're coming out of a sarcophagus. Like a truck pulls up and just tosses you out of it. And
That's one of my favorite ones, by
yeah.
the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's funny. The missions are really good too. I mean, obviously, it still sort of adheres to that point A to point B, but a lot of the characters you come across are super funny too.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, the writing is strong throughout and in every single mission. Like, I don't think I ever heard a repeated line of dialogue.
Yeah.
So when you meet new people, they're talking to you about different things based on the mission you're on, and that's pervasive in the side missions as well. Like, if you do a favor for somebody, the radio conversations you have and the stuff your character is saying about what they're doing is unique. And a lot of games, they fall back on, repeated dialogue or just no speech at all while you do this meandering point A to point B side quest.
So that's what we thought of Sunset Overdrive. Thank you guys so much for joining me. This game's amazing. Tell us what you thought. Leave us comments, tweet at us, LO us. Do people still LO?
Yeah, I'm
Just
on
LO
Elo
us,
every
right?
day.
It was a good week.
Yeah. So for everything else Sunset Overdrive, you're already in the right place. IGN.com.